You stand at the edge of a medieval town where the houses lean like crooked teeth and the air tastes of smoke and damp wood. At the far end, past the last respectable street, you find a lonely hut. No lights, no visitors, just a stain on the edge of society. This is where the executioner lives, the man everyone fears, but no one truly knows. You don't knock. No one ever does. Most people avoid his shadow like a curse. They cross themselves when he walks by, whispering that touching him brings bad luck, sickness, or worse. But without him, their world collapses. Justice, or what passed as justice, needed a hand to do the dirty work. Someone had to swing the sword, light the pyre, or tighten the rope. Inside that hut, you'd find a person trapped between power and exile. Someone paid well, but welcomed nowhere. A man essential to the city, yet denied its embrace. And if you think choosing this job was some twisted career move, wait until you learn how you actually became one. Because most executioners didn't choose this life at all. They were pushed into it, sometimes at the point of a sword. Movies tell you executioners were perfectly trained, elite swordsmen who could behead someone in one clean stroke. The reality? You'd probably do a better job with a blunt kitchen knife. Executioners weren't trained in secret academies, nor did they perfect their craft through honorable duels. Their training was messy, improvised, and often horrifying. Many inherited the role. If your father was an executioner, congratulations. So were you. Others were criminals given a choice. Die today, or become the one who kills others tomorrow. You learn quickly when the alternative is your own neck on the block, and the one clean strike myth. Forget it. Historical records show beheadings taking 2, 3, sometimes 5 blows. The crowd would boo, throw things, or even attack the executioner when he failed to deliver a merciful death. Imagine the pressure of performing surgery with an axe in front of thousands of screaming people. So no, these weren't master swordsmen. They were desperate men forced into violent expertise. And the society that demanded perfection from them refused to treat them as anything but tainted. But the real insult comes next, because even when they served justice, they were still seen as unclean. Imagine waking up every day knowing that no one wants to touch you, speak to you, or even stand near you. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because the job society forced on you is considered spiritually poisonous. That's the life of a medieval executioner. You're forbidden from joining guilds. No one will eat with you. Craftsmen refuse to sell you goods. Sometimes you're banned from the city's taverns entirely. Even in church, you're pushed into a corner, far from the respectable faithful. People fear that your hands, the same ones that tie ropes and sharpen blades, can transfer misfortune through the slightest brush. And it doesn't end with you. Your wife, your children, your relatives, they inherit the curse. Your daughter may be kind, clever, or beautiful, but no decent family will marry her. Your son, no matter how smart, cannot train as a blacksmith or merchant. They all become outcasts, imprisoned by your profession. So, executioners formed their own strange micro-society, marrying within a tiny circle, befriending only those equally shunned, building a world at the margins. But society wasn't done with them. Oh no, it demanded even more, because executions were only part of the job. The easiest part, in fact. You think the executioner only swung a sword? That would almost make this job glamorous. The truth is far darker and filthier. Most of his work wasn't about killing. It was about dealing with everything society didn't want to touch. You'd start your day hauling dead animals from the streets, scraping rotting carcasses into pits. Then you'd move on to collecting human remains left after accidents, suicides, or plague. If a body floated up in the river, congratulations. It's your problem now. Then came torture. Legal torture. You weren't just killing criminals. You were extracting confessions. A twisted bureaucracy told you exactly how many turns of the rack or blows of the whip were allowed. Too soft. And the authorities blamed you for letting a guilty man escape. Too hard. And you'd kill the suspect before the trial ended. Also your fault. Sometimes, you'd lead public punishments. Cutting ears, branding flesh, whipping thieves across the marketplace. The crowd laughed. The authorities approved. But no one, absolutely no one, wanted to shake your hand afterward. And yet, for all this horror, people assumed executioners were heartless monsters. But if you think the job was pure punishment, wait until you hear how much money it brought. For someone hated by society, the medieval executioner made surprisingly good money. Not noble rich, but definitely better than carpenters, millers, or masons. You were paid for every task, every hanging, whipping, burning, branding, torture session, and corpse you removed from the street. One job, one fee. A beheading with a sword? High pay. A hanging? Cheaper. Rope was low-budget justice. Torture? Paid by the session. Need a dead horse dragged out of a well? That's extra. And if you kept the rope or clothes from an execution, you could sell them as magical charms, since medieval people believed they cured everything from infertility to nightmares. And then there were the medical opportunities. In many places, executioners sold body fat, bones, or internal organs to apothecaries. It wasn't pretty, but it was legal. Some executioners made entire side businesses out of miracle treatments based on human remains. Does this sound monstrous? Maybe. But remember, society pushed them into this corner. If you can't get honest work, and everyone hates you anyway, why not make extra coin off the superstition industry? But money doesn't silence the mind. And the real cost of this career wasn't financial, it was psychological. You wake up knowing that today you might be killing someone. Maybe a murderer, maybe a thief, maybe someone who simply angered the wrong noble. The job demands emotional numbness, but the human mind isn't designed for that kind of daily violence. Executioners drank heavily. Sources mention many suffering from depression, rage, or obsessive guilt. Some families described their fathers as quiet, withdrawn, haunted. Others became unpredictable, violent outside the scaffold, as well as on it. It's easy to understand why. And then there's the forced nature of the job. Many executioners were former criminals who accepted the role to save their own necks. Imagine choosing between your own death today and killing strangers for the rest of your life. That's not a career path. That's psychological warfare. Even the crowds had expectations. If the execution went badly, people blamed the executioner, harassed him, or chased him from the marketplace. One mistake could follow you for decades. You carry all of this home, into your marriage, into your children's lives, into your dreams. But the public didn't care about your suffering. They wanted a show, and executioners had to perform. The executioner wasn't just killing someone. He was entertaining an entire town. Public executions were scheduled events, drawing crowds the way concerts do today. Vendors sold food. Children sat on their fathers' shoulders. Everyone waited to see justice served, blood spilled, and order restored. You had to perform. You announced the crime, displayed the tools, and turned the execution into a ritual. The condemned person was part of the show, but so were you. People expected precision, drama, and spectacle. You were judged not just on efficiency, but on charisma. But when things went wrong, the crowd could turn violent. They booed when the sword struck poorly. They shouted curses when the victim didn't die right away. Sometimes the mob even attacked the executioner, beating him or chasing him out of the square. And yet, if you did well, your fame could spread. Cities invited skilled executioners to perform in major cases. Some gained reputations across entire regions. But fame didn't mean acceptance, because behind the scenes, the tools of your craft were as grim as the job itself. Step into the executioner's workshop, and you'll find an unsettling inventory. Not torture devices from horror movies, but simple, brutally effective tools designed for a single purpose. The executioner's sword was nothing like a knight's weapon. It was broad, heavy, and double-handed, designed to strike once with crushing force. It wasn't sharpened to a razor edge. It relied on weight and precision. Axes were cheaper and common in regions where swords were too costly. Then there was the rope, the economy method. Depending on where you lived, hanging wasn't about snapping a neck. It was slow, suffocating, and visible from every angle in the town square. And for the worst crimes, there was the wheel. A large wooden rim used to break bones and stretch bodies. It was rare, but infamous. Cities used it to send a message. Fear the law, obey the authorities, or suffer the consequences. None of these tools were glamorous. They were practical, functional, and terrifyingly simple. And they all served a greater purpose, reinforcing the power of the state. You might think medieval executions were about justice. They weren't. They were about control, a visible, unforgettable reminder of who held power. Every public hanging, every burning, every broken limb was a message to the crowd. Obey, conform, submit. Authorities didn't care if you believed the condemned deserved it. They cared that you watched. Fear was the currency of stability. Executioners were instruments of this political theater. They weren't villains or heroes, but tools, extensions of rulers who wanted obedience at any cost. That's why the executioner's skill mattered. A clean death meant a clean message. A messy one weakened the illusion of control. Even pardons were part of the spectacle. A noble riding in at the last moment to grant mercy wasn't compassion. It was flexing power. The crowd cheered, the ruler's glory grew, and the executioner stepped back, unseen as always. But eventually, the world changed, and the executioner's old role began to crumble. By the 17th and 18th centuries, Europe began transforming. Legal systems evolved, torture fell out of fashion, and the growing middle class demanded more humane justice. Public executions started looking less like order and more like barbarism. Cities realized they didn't need performers on scaffoldings. They needed bureaucrats and judges. Executions became private, hidden behind prison walls. Without an audience, the executioner's theatrical flair became meaningless. Then came mechanization, new devices meant to deliver death quickly and impersonally. The guillotine in France turned execution into a swift industrial process. No more swords, no more skill, no more tainted families of professional killers. By the 19th century, the executioner as a medieval outcast vanished almost everywhere. The world simply outgrew him. But don't celebrate yet. His shadow didn't disappear. It just changed shape. You might think we've left medieval brutality behind. Public executions are rare. Torture is outlawed. The spectacle of death no longer fills town squares, but the system that created executioners never truly vanished. It evolved. Violence moved behind closed doors. The state still punishes, still decides who deserves freedom, and still relies on people to carry out sentences. Today's institutions hide the unpleasant labor behind sterile terms like enforcement and corrections. But the emotional weight, the moral tension, the psychological scars, they remain. Someone still pulls the lever, pushes the button, or locks the heavy door. The medieval executioner may be gone, but the questions he raises are timeless. Who holds power? Who enforces it? And what price do they pay? Before you walk away, remember, society shapes its monsters, whether medieval or modern. You've spent time in the executioner's world, a world of fear, isolation, duty, and grim necessity. He wasn't a villain, nor a hero. He was a symbol of a society that needed violence to function, yet despised the very hands that delivered it. His life reminds you that systems built on fear damage everyone involved: the rulers, the condemned, and especially the enforcers. A blade doesn't swing itself. Someone always has to carry the burden. But if you think the executioner's life was dark, just wait. Because in the next chapter of medieval reality, we're stepping into the shadows of another feared group, the men who ruled the streets after sunset. What medieval night watch actually did, and why you'd fear them.